Greetings, my fellow freedom lovers and sovereign thinkers. Thank you for tuning in to LL3 Podcast. My name is Craig, transmitting from the beautiful swampy mangroves of South Florida. And today's date is Thursday, December 24th, 2020. I know folks around the world are celebrating Christmas, having the dinners, feast, wherever they're at. Hopefully everyone's safe. To all the brothers and sisters out there as well are celebrating it this holiday. In the forbidden zones, they call it. Communist China and all that. I'm not going to be ranting today. I'm going to do one quick article that happened on this day, 1944. It's related to the Battle of the Bulge. And Tara Ross wrote this. You go to taraross.com if you want to follow her. She has some good content. This day in history, a little-known World War II Christmas Eve truce. On this day in 1944, the Battle of the Bulge is interrupted by a little-known truce deep in the Anderness Forest. 4 German soldiers and 3 American soldiers shared a cottage and a Christmas Eve meal, thanks to the bravery of one German woman. It is the holy night, and there will be no shooting here, she reportedly told them. Elizabeth Vicken and her 12-year-old son, Fritz, had been staying in the cottage near the German-Belgian border. They were looking for safety, but now the Battle of the Bulge was raging all around them. On Christmas Eve, they heard an unexpected knock on their door. They were scared, of course. Who could it be? Elizabeth carefully opened the door only to find 2 men and another lying wounded in the snow. They were American soldiers, not something Elizabeth would have wanted to find. The penalty for harboring Americans was death. But the Americans didn't try to force their way into the cabin. They just stood there, as Fritz later said, and asked with their eyes. What mother could resist? Those soldiers were so young and they were practically kids. And that's the way mother began to treat them, Fritz wrote. The Americans have been lost, but now they were invited into a warm cottage. It was awkward at first, but the German mother and the American soldiers found that they could communicate in French. Elizabeth and Fritz had been fattening a rooster, hoping that Fritz's father would return. Now Fritz was sent to prepare the rooster. It was needed for dinner. Just then another knock came at the door. 4 German soldiers stood there. They also needed shelter from the cold. Could they come in? Elizabeth had to have been frightened. What would the Germans do when they discovered the Americans? Well, Elizabeth did what she had to do. She looked the Germans determinedly in the eye, invited them in, but also warning them about what they would find inside. You could be my sons, she told the Germans. And so, those in there, a boy with a gunshot wound, fighting for his life, his 2 friends lost, like you, and just as hungry and exhausted as you are. This one night, this Christmas night, let us forget about killing. The Germans left their weapons outside. Elizabeth retrieved the American weapons and left them outside too. The room was tense at first, but then the mood shifted. One of those German soldiers had some medical training and began tending to the wounded American. Another produced a bottle of wine and some rye bread, and they sat down to dinner. Elizabeth said grace. I noticed that they were in tears. They were tears in her eye. That I noticed that were tears in her eyes, Fritz later wrote, as she said the old familiar words, "Come, Herr Jesus. Be our guest." And as I looked around the table, I saw tears in the eyes of the battle-weary soldiers. The goodwill persisted. In the morning, the men awoke, exchanged Christmas greetings, and then worked together to build a stretcher for their wounded American. After breakfast, the Germans pointed out the American soldiers in the right direction on they could find their unit. Then the two sides departed, each in a different direction. The truce was over, but nothing could erase the hours of friendship that had existed in the midst of the horrific Battle of the Bulge. God was at our table that night, Elizabeth would say. Many decades later, Fritz found two other soldiers who'd taken shelter in his cabin. Naturally, that's a story for another day. Merry Christmas, everyone. And you can look at plenty of sources here as well. Very beautiful story. It was a great Christmas story indeed, Michael McDowell has to say. Something like that happened in 1914, around Christmas time, with the British and the Germans had a beautiful truce. Remember, soldiers are human beings too. They have their orders and their principles, but they have humanity in them as well, many of them, in that part of the world. One thing I always say when people want to go to war, I ask them this: will you go on the front line of battle? Let's see how tough you are. Especially if there's no-nonsense politicians. Doesn't matter what party or where they're at. They love to talk big, but they won't contribute. And all the tension happening right now with the U.S. and Communist China. Looks like they're all surrounding each other. They're just waiting for the first shot, or when things weaken on either side. The truth of the matter is, folks, it's governments people should despise rather than the people. That's why this big spiritual awakening is happening a lot quicker now around the world. It's not some economic thing that's going to solve it, like change in capitalism and have socialism and communism. That, to me, it's all completely irrelevant. People are learning about liberty. And one thing I always say, we can stop anything. And there's not a damn thing they can do about it. That's why the story needs to be addressed. So, that will be it. I would like to thank you for listening. Plus, feel free to download and share us throughout your social media networks. If you have any questions, comments, or say something that's interesting, whoops, sorry about that. Interesting, I want to check out. Whatever you do, please send your correspondence with decorum. Furthermore, I'll leave the footnote of this article on my speaker page. And I encourage everyone to check out Tara Ross's website as well. She got books, do donations. That would be awesome. And if you want to contact me, you can hit me at LokiLuck3@gmail.com or LokiLuckNumbers03@protonmail.com. And if you want to do a donation, you can hit me at paypal.me/LokiLuck3. And I just did Cash App. I got the $ LokiLuck3 all together. All right. Once again, thank you for your time. Plus, always remember that demoniac resistance is healthy for the soul and can liberate humanity. Until next time, take care of yourselves. Keep on spreading love. May your guardian spirits be with you, and wish everyone a very Merry Christmas, regardless of your race, color, creed, etc. Positive blessings to you all.